very loose. We can
Let's loose run.
Okay, guys, yeah.
I'm blowing a whistle. Yep.
I think it needs to go somewhere else. Look, it's hard to tell in here because I'm actually hearing it through here, not so much through your mic.
Yep. Do you want me to go outside? I'll go outside.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, no, I better not scare them. When do you want? One more? I know, scare the shit out. I know. Yep. Hello? Oh, I can talk. Yes. Very, yeah. Very, yeah. Tough.
Hello? Toast? Yeah. Righto.
Time is it? What time is the grand final?
I think 2:15 if they're on time. Righto, alright.
Just don't swear.
Thanks, Donna. Hello. I don't think they look good tucked in.
I know the other two have it out, but I don't want it to look a bit like too tacky.
Oh. Are we wearing these?
What are these?
These.
Oh. Okay. No, I think they're just giving them out. No, I've got my.
I don't like it tucked in.
Hello and welcome to National Park for the grand final of the Greater Bank Open Championship on what is a beautifully sunny but very windy day here in Newcastle. Today we have two of the heavyweights of Newcastle netball going head-to-head in the decider, Wests v Souths, and someone who's no stranger to the rivalry, former West Junior and current Super netballer with the Giants, Sam Pullman, who will be joining me in commentary. Sam, you're looking forward to today?
Yes, absolutely. It's such an exciting day for netball and no better than two teams of South and West going head-to-head, so I'm really excited for today's game.
Joining us in commentary today on the sidelines will be Lauren Kemp, who is a long-standing netballer herself. Lauren, what are you looking forward to today?
Look, I think it's going to be a really close game between these two incredible teams. They've both got a lot of things to offer and I think it could be anyone's game.
And of course, this is the first time the grand final will be brought to you live. We will be here right up until presentation. To find out how we got here, Stephen Mount caught up with the president of Newcastle Netball.
Well, thanks, Kate. It's an historic day at netball in Newcastle, well, at least at a local level. Now, the lady with me, as you just mentioned, is Cheryl Hernando, the president of Newcastle Netball, a lady who had a vision, and today's the day.
Yes, no. Our members said at the beginning of the year, can you make this a spectacular day? And I think that with your help and with our sponsors' help, we certainly have delivered.
Well, we've been here since 7:30 this morning. The crowd filing through the gate is incredible. The numbers at a local level are exploding.
Yes, no. We currently have 4,000 members. So each and every Saturday here, we have up to 10,000 people here watching our game and playing.
the run into the finals. You were tested a little bit with the weather. It's time for an indoor stadium.
Yeah, definitely time for an indoor stadium. We're working very hard to make that happen. We were very grateful that last week we could get one to make sure our Greater Bank Open Championship game could play.
And of course, without volunteers, these days don't happen. You have an army behind the scenes.
Oh no, the executive have been very good, as have a lot of the clubs, so everyone's been really good. We're all here to volunteer and make the sport great.
The crowd you brought in, it's a big crowd. The greater are your sponsors. They might have to get the chequebook out next year.
Yeah, no, we're very grateful for our sponsors and very grateful for anyone that can come and help us in any way.
Now, as we were talking off camera before, you're meant to be impartial because you are the president, but you've got to have a bit of an idea which way today's going to go.
Too hard a call, but I'll just say go the umpires.
Well, let's see how that works out. Thank you very much for your time.
You.
Kate, it is a great day, but we'll see as the game gets closer just how the day pans out.
Now, of course, the big game features West v South. West finished the season as the minor premiers. They've had a very consistent season with an experienced squad. Lauren, what are you expecting out of this West team today?
I think they're going in with a really solid side. They work really well together as a team, and I think that could be to their advantage.
Certainly will be. For Souths, they're featuring a young squad. They've had a couple of injuries throughout the season-ending injuries for some of their experienced players. They had a very solid win against Forsyths on the weekend. The game moved indoors because of that torrential rain. Sam, you were there. What impressed you about this South side?
I think everyone going into the game spoke about how dominant that Forsyths is, and South showed that they absolutely wanted a spot in the grand final. They performed across 4 quarters and really showed they wanted it and absolutely dominated that game. So they've earned their spot in the grand final, and I can't wait to see them stand up even more in today's game.
And as we know, in years gone by, the rivalry runs deep with these two teams. It really could be anyone's game. I'm not going to ask you if you're a tip, Sam, being a West junior, but what are you expecting out of this match?
I think one thing that's great is West have probably dominated the whole year. They won 2 games over South during the season, but both West and South have had dominant performances against Forsyths to get into the grand final today. So I expect it to be close, physical, and both teams are really putting everything on the line to win that game, and that's exactly what you want from a grand final.
It sure is. Lauren, what are your thoughts? Are you expecting a close one today, or do you think it'll be a blowout?
I really think anyone could be the winner. Souths really could shake things up with their younger side. They've got 4 girls 18 years and under, so that really could give West a run for their money.
That's exactly right. Of course, these are the best netballers in Newcastle. You will see every minute, every goal right here. Stay with us.
NBN News, nightly at 6.
Extinguishing the blaze took more than 2 hours. It caused extensive damage to number 9 and spread across into number 11 before it was brought under control.
According to Knight CEO Philip Gardner, this was a mutual decision with Nathan Brown in the club's best interest.
Driving into chaos on the morning commute. The M1 swallowed by smoke west of Lake Macquarie.
NBN News, nightly at 6.
1 p.m. Saturday on 9NBN, we're bringing you all the highlights of the Greater Bank Open Championship Grand Final. 1 p.m. Saturday on 9NBN.
NBN News, your local news in the Hunter.
The brother of Australian captain Boyd Cordner cried tears of relief as the decision was handed down.
Philip Gardner, this was a mutual decision with Nathan Brown in the club's best interest.
After months of training, they're ready to take their first steps on the beat.
Coppers management says minimising harmful emissions is a priority.
The full-time whistle sparks celebrations for Maitland.
NBN News, nightly at 6.
1 p.m. Saturday on 9NBN, we're bringing you all the highlights of the Greater Bank Open Championship Grand Final. 1 p.m. Saturday on 9NBN.
Season 2 of Location Lifestyle Living is now on air. The Block's Kim and Chris show us some fun ways to de-stress after a big reno. Our resident tradie Rowan is back and making home renovation easy. Craig and I meet some amazing locals and we check out the best locations the Hunter has to offer. Make sure you tune in 12:30 Saturdays on 9 to catch all the action.
Here we are on Court 10 at National Park for the grand final of the Greater Bank Open Championship. We've had a little bit of a delay. The under-23s went into extra time, a very exciting match and hopefully a sign of what's to come. I am joined in commentary today by Super Netball star for the Giants, Sam Pullman. Sam, it's a great atmosphere here today.
It sure is. The court is absolutely surrounded by spectators, family, friends that just can't wait for this game to get started today.
It is certainly building. That crowd is about 10 deep in places. We will start with taking a look at the team lineups for Wests, the minor premiers. We've got Maddie Taylor in shooter, a very experienced. Rhiannon Stokes, a young star. Hannah Simmons comes in at WA. Sophie Buckley, the centre and captain. She's won a couple of titles. Abby Johnson, the wing defence today. Mackenzie McManus in the goal defence. And Natalia Bridges in goalkeeper. The subs today, Hannah Cullen and Tasha Hawley. For Souths, they come in with a pretty inexperienced side in patches, but they've also got the goods. Janice Burgess in goal shooter today, Caitlin Stansfield goal attack, Tiffany Gilmore experience there in WA, and the captain, Zoe Peden, the young centre, Anika Marcosi in wing defence, Tiana Cummings in goal defence, and Nikita Jackson, the keeper for today. Just the one sub, Lucy Tonkin. Now look at those little Souths fans. We have fans dotted all around the place. Of course, I've seen some of my West Dollies, my 7 years team, Sam. They're out representing too. It is so great to see all the kids out with their signs. And we do have our sideline commentator, Lauren Kemp, down there. Lauren, and how's the feeling on the sideline?
Well, Kate, there's some great energy here on the sideline, from the young to the old. We've got some people here on the sidelines who are really looking forward to this close game. And one of them is Joan, who's been coming here for 80 years, never missed a game. So, Joan, what do you think that this game is going to look like today?
Oh, it's going to be fantastic. They're both as good as each other, and I just love to come and watch them.
Yeah, and there's going to be a little bit of wind, but hopefully they'll be able to pull through. Who are you hoping for today?
Oh, well, I like both teams, but if I could have my choice, I want South to win.
That's wonderful. Well, all the best to them.
Yeah. I get picked up at 10.
Thank you, Lauren. And Joan, and she is a lovely lady. We met Joan a few minutes ago. Never missed a match. Good on you, Joan. All right, as we can see, the team's warming up. Now, Sam, we're looking at Wests in the black today at the moment, and they've got a very experienced lineup, don't they, Sam?
They do. They are probably excited to finally get out in court, because the longer you wait for this game, I think the more nervous you get. So with the extra time in the 23s, I think they're excited to get out there, and their experience will certainly help them if this game goes into extra time or pressure situations.
They are stacked with Premier League players, of course, and they're going for their third championship in a row today. So the pressure is on. Souths, on the other hand, they're doing a little bit of a kind of separate warm-up. They're kind of segregated a little bit at the moment, as we see Wests in a huddle. Sophie is talking to them. There we see Souths. They're a little bit spread out. Their shooters are getting some last-minute practice in. This wind will cause a few problems. It is blowing right across the court. So you're expecting, Sam, maybe not as many long-range attempts at goal?
I think early in the game, shooters will probably want to get a little bit closer to the post. So centre quarters will need to swing the ball and pass the ball around a little bit more to get them a bit closer, just to get those nerves out of the way in the first shots in early. And then, if the wind settles or the long passes are there, I'm sure they'll experiment at some point.
They certainly will. As we see Souths moving the ball around, their passing accuracy will be important today in these windy conditions. They are really going to have to be on from the beginning. We are expecting a close game, aren't we, Sam? I mean, grand finals, the rest of the season, kind of goes out the window, doesn't it?
Yes, we spoke about during the year that West had the dominance over South in both games, and like you mentioned, anything can happen in finals, and South certainly showed last week that they wanted to be in this grand final, and sometimes that fear of wanting to be there and nothing can go wrong will play in your favour, whereas I think West might feel the pressure in terms of wanting to win another premiership, and sometimes that provides a little bit more hesitation. So if South can really bring that energy and that attitude that they had last week, I think they'll be off to a great start.
As we see the teams continue to warm up, West is in a huddle, Souths is moving. I can see Lauren Kemp on the sideline with a bit of red and white down there. Lauren, what's happening?
Yes, well, we've got a bit of a cheer squad here with South. And girls, how do you think that the game's going to go?
I think it's going to be a really close one. It's going to be hectic, I think. Like, close, very close.
And who are you going for today with South?
South, our girl Zoe, she's out there in centre and she's going to kill it.
Great. Yep. Wonderful. Well, all the best to Souths and good game.
Crowd building. There are fans everywhere. I can see a lot of red and white. I can see a lot of green and red. It is building as we get closer to the first centre pass. There has been a slight delay, but we should be getting very close, maybe about 4 minutes away. We might throw to a quick break as this crowd builds. We'll be right back.
NBN News, nightly at 6.
Extinguishing the blaze took more than 2 hours. It caused extensive damage to number 9 and spread across into number 11 before it was brought under control.
According to Knight CEO Philip Gardner, this was a mutual decision with Nathan Brown in the club's best interest.
Driving into chaos on the morning commute. The M1 swallowed by smoke west of Lake Macquarie.
NBN News, nightly at 6.
1 p.m. Saturday on 9NBN, we're bringing you all the highlights of the Greater Bank Open Championship Grand Final. 1 p.m. Saturday on 9NBN.
NBN News, your local news in the Hunter.
The brother of Australian captain Boyd Cordner cried tears of relief as the decision was handed down.
Philip Gardner, this was a mutual decision with Nathan Brown in the club's best interest.
After months of training, they're ready to take their first steps on the beat.
Coppers management says minimising harmful emissions is a priority.
The full-time whistle sparks celebrations for Maitland.
NBN News, nightly at 6.
1 p.m. Saturday on 9NBN, we're bringing you all the highlights of the Greater Bank Open Championship Grand Final. 1 p.m. Saturday on 9NBN.
Season 2 of Location Lifestyle Living is now on air. The Block's Kim and Chris show us some fun ways to de-stress after a big reno. Our resident tradie Rowan is back and making home renovation easy. Craig and I meet some amazing locals and we check out the best locations the Hunter has to offer. Make sure you tune in 12:30 Saturdays on 9 to catch all the action.
We are not far away from the first centre pass here at National Park. The crowd is certainly building as the teams continue their warm-up. Lauren Kemp, I see you with some beautiful little West fans down there.
Yes, we have a couple of wonderful little West supporters here. Girls, who am I speaking to today? What are your names?
Maddie.
And?
Nakai.
And are you going for West today?
Yes.
Do you think they're going to win?
Yes.
Why?
Because they're in our team.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be a good game, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're going to be cheering on the sideline?
Yes.
Have you got posters there?
No.
No, but you got your sunnies, don't you?
Yes.
Great. Wonderful.
Oh, Lauren, it is so good to see all the little ones out and about. Of course, this is what netball's all about, Sam. We see, I think Cheryl said 10,000 people here every Saturday between players and spectators. It really is a sport that families surround, isn't it?
It sure is, and what a moment for those little two West girls. I think them being here today, aspiring to be those older West players one day, and what a fantastic product that we get to showcase. And I hope that, in quite a few years' time, those girls are playing in the grand final, and it's even, bigger than what it is today.
It's certainly good to see people of all ages here. Of course, Sam, you deal a lot with developing players. Tell us about the region itself. It's a breeding ground for netball stars, really, isn't it?
It sure is. I moved back from Adelaide about 4, and when I was going through the pathway, it was such a strong region, and Netball New South Wales certainly watch and identify players for our region, and that's why I spend so much time with our younger netballers in hope that they progress down the Netball New South Wales pathway and show them that they can reach levels of representing the state or playing for the Giants. And we actually have 2 players that play for South, so Nikita Jackson in goalkeeper and Zoe Peden in centre, who are on that Netball New South Wales pathway and are doing some great things for the Hunter.
We will see them in action very shortly. The teams are in huddles. They're starting to fire themselves up, and it looks like we are just moments away from the start of this match. Teams are starting to spread out a little bit, but I think they've jumped the gun. I think they want to do something
They're too
official.
excited.
They're very excited to get this match underway. Of course, we had a little bit of a delay with the under-23s going into extra time, but we see West coming onto the court now. They're led by captain Sophie Buckley. She'll be in centre today. She's a very important part of their team, as is the shooting combination. Maddie Taylor has been very impressive all year. They really tend to use her height. She positions herself in the circle very well, so we will look for that today as Souths make their way onto the court. A very young centre there in Zoe Peden. They are really the future of Newcastle netball in this South side for girls under the age of 18. So it certainly should be an exciting match as we see the ball being placed into the centre and handed to Souths, who look like they have the first centre pass, and we are moments away. Let's get this Greater Bank Open Championship Grand Final underway. And there we go, the first whistle, and straight away they are trying to move down, and they've gone backwards. They're having a little bit of trouble off the first whistle of getting down into the circle. West are doing a very good job there with deflection there. Sam, they've really got to start this game with consistent goals, don't they?
They do, and I think nerves always comes in at the start of the game. You just want to get that first pass away, that first shot, and really start relaxing. So this would be a good shot for the goal attack from South, really to try and nail that, and unfortunately it's gone out. So it shows the nerves that are happening in the grand final already.
I think the wind is going to play a factor today as well. Caitlin Stansfield doesn't miss many. That was her opening shot there. I'm sure she will make amends throughout the match as we see West moving down the court using Buckley in the centre. They are moving a little bit freer, but that was a really good intercept attempt there by Souths. Unfortunately couldn't follow it through as we see West's trying to make it in, and there we go. As predicted, they are going to try to find Maddie Taylor, but that was a very good intercept there, and that's what we are expecting from this young South side, aren't we?
Absolutely. You have to just go for the ball, and that was a really nice pass into Maddie Taylor. That's what West want to do, release the ball early and really dominate in that tack end like they have all year.
And straight away they have capitalised on that, and they are one goal ahead in this grand final. Slow and steady though for West as they try to move their way down, and that was a really good play there by the Souths wing defence, young Anika Marcosi. That was a really good deflection. Unfortunately didn't fall her way as we see Sophie Buckley with the ball, and they are looking for Maddie Taylor again. I can see her positioning herself, but they hesitated, and Zoe Peden got the ball, and Souths are trying to make up for losing the first centre pass. A little bit of a scramble in the centre there. You can see, I think, the nerves at the opening sections of this game, Sam.
You can, and that's completely understandable and normal in a grand final. It's the team that settles the quickest into the game will be the one that really dominates in this first quarter.
Oh, that was a lucky take there by Stansfield. I'm surprised she was able to keep her balance, and very good positioning there. And they should be, yes, they should be capitalising on that. They are all level, and of course they just swapped centres there. They just thought, oh, well, I'll take that one back, as we see Souths looking to make it 2 in a row, and that was a little bit too easy on the baseline there for Souths. You can see the keeper is trying to position herself to keep Stansfield out, but she's just running right a little bit in there at the moment, and they have found the shooter, and she should have no trouble. Oh, I jinxed her. Sorry about that.
Commentator's curse, that one.
I know, right? I think I'll blame the wind for that one as we see Souths move down that sideline there. That was a lucky take and a even luckier pass. You can see they are wide open there, and that was a really nice feed. Unlucky they couldn't get to that one. That was fingertip stuff.
Souths are certainly doing a great job in pressuring West. They're making those mistakes happen and coming through and pressuring each pass. And as you can see, a footwork call there.
Of course, in netball, you are not allowed to reground your grounded foot. We don't see too much of it, but the pressure will be showing as we see here West's 2, South's 1. The opening minutes of this grand final. Very topsy-turvy. No one seems to be able to hold their centre at the moment, but that will change as the match progresses. A little bit physical down there between the two wings. We will expect more of that throughout the match, I am sure. And a very nice feed over the top to Taylor. She's a very experienced player, a Premier League player herself, and she doesn't miss many, does she?
No, and that's exactly how you need to feed the ball to her. That's her strength, and I think if West keep letting that ball go early, they'll really dominate to Taylor at the back end.
They do seem to be working it through the middle
quite easily. They're getting a little bit stuck at the moment, but you can see they're really relying on the shooter, and she's released again, and she's using her body really, really well to get that ball, isn't she, Sam?
That's a fantastic feed. Maddie's really holding space really nicely, and like I've mentioned, that's their strength. They need to, if that option's open, really feed that ball into her.
And this is the danger when you lose a couple of centres and suddenly you're a couple of goals down, and in the grand final sometimes that's all it is, but that was a great intercept there. She's taken a spill, but she seems to have gotten up all right. Now we've got Lauren Kemp on the sideline. We might go to Lauren now and see what's happening down there.
Well, here on the sideline, it looks very much the same. I mean, both sides are really trying to defend their own. That wind obviously putting a bit of a thing in the mix there, but it looks like Souths are sort of coming back here, trying to feed that into the circle, but no luck. West are getting it back again.
Some desperation there from the West's captain in Buckley, and they're going to try to move it back down the court. They want to capitalise on their 2-goal lead at the moment. As we can see, Souths are pressing fairly well, and we're coming into the shady end. And again, that's just too easy. They are really finding her in her sweet spot, aren't they?
They certainly are, and as a goalkeeper with Jackson at the back, it's really hard to play one-on-one on Taylor. So I think Souths really need to put quite big hands over the feed and really stop the feeders from getting the ball, rather than just putting all the pressure on Jackson at the back on Taylor.
Do they need to try to position her out of that spot she likes to? She likes to hover around the baseline. Do they need to try to figure out a way to get her away from there?
Yeah, I think it's been a couple of really nice feeds in and quite easy takes by Taylor. So I think as a goalkeeper you need to adjust and keep moving and have the feeders think about something else to look at and not make that feed so obvious like it has been. So let's watch Jackson for a little bit and see if she moves and changes her style, and how Maddie Taylor really tries to combat that.
As we see another one of those beautiful feeds in, she's just dominating this baseline and she's getting perfect ball. The wind doesn't seem to be affecting their style of play at all. I wondered whether they would change it up a little bit given the conditions, but they certainly haven't needed to at this stage. Souths have got 3 goals to make up here, and Stansfield is doing her very best. The West defence is holding really firm, Sam.
Contact.
They are, and that's been one of their strong assets all year.
Contact,
when you are defensively doing well, that certainly helps your win.
Possession,
not offense. There you go. The umpire, I was going to give my umpiring opinion then.
What did Cheryl say? The umpires always win.
Yep, absolutely.
And as you predicted, it is going to be a physical game. No one's giving up the ball today.
No, and you know what? The pressure is on the umpires too. It's a big game for them. They'll want to be seeing everything that goes on. The speed of the game is really a high standard now. So I think they'll be feeling a little bit of nerves as well to make sure that they don't miss anything. And they pull up what's right and let go what's needed as well.
They're not playing as much advantage at the moment, but you never know what happens through the game, although they just played it there. As we see Souths again with the ball, they've got a deficit to make up, and they're having a lot more difficulty getting into their shooters as compared to West's. They're just, there we go, that's what I was going to say, they maybe need to go lower. Stansfield, there she goes. She is very good at driving into that position at the top of the post there, and she's sunk that one. That's what they need. I think they probably need her, Sam, to start driving for the ball. They're having a little bit of difficulty.
Yeah, and I think South's game is a little bit different to West's. West have that option to go long and a really strong option into Taylor, whereas Souths move the ball around a lot more and have been really patient. So it's just about maybe doing the work a little bit earlier so that you can get West defenders off your body and have an option open.
And as we know in netball, you hesitate and that gap is closed up, and that's what we're seeing here. Unfortunately, that should be a West throw-in, and I believe that it is, as Stansfield picks herself back up. This is going to be a physical encounter as we see West's move the ball back down the court. Lauren, where are you? What's happening down where you are?
Well, at the moment, as they're moving it down back the court, they seem to be sticking to the one side again, and they're still managing to get it down there to Maddie, who's got it at the moment, but it seems like they've just got to spread out a little bit more and they might be able to keep it their way.
It does seem like there's quite a few South supporters in the crowd today. Every time they get an intercept, we can hear the crowd go up. That will help them, although as we see, West have won the ball back straight away. Bridges is doing really well in goalkeeper at the moment. She's causing them all sorts of trouble.
And that's one of Natalia Bridges' strengths. She sits off the body and reads the play really well, so I have no doubt that as the game goes on, she'll pick up some really crucial intercepts for West.
As we see Maddie Taylor with another goal. She always has a very high shooting percentage. She certainly doesn't miss many. It'll be interesting, Sam, to see whether she'll stay on for the full game, since she is a Premier League player and often they only play half, so it'll be very interesting.
It will be, but how fantastic is that from a club as West, that they've got the option to bring on a bench player who is just as strong onto the court, but also fantastic that Central Coast Heart allow their Premier League players to come back and play Saturday netball in their grand final. I think from both West and Premier League of Central Coast Heart, it's really fantastic that they let someone at this high standard player play our local league.
And look, this is where it all starts, isn't it? So it's grassroots netball at its very best, and it's great to see these girls back out here representing their clubs. And that was a very nice goal there for young Burgess. She's only 17 years of age. She's one of the South's contingent that have had to come in at the later stage of this season with 4 experienced players suffering season-ending injuries. So they really are stepping up. They've come from the South's Pride team, and they've really got big shoes to fill today.
They do, but I think she just sunk an incredible shot, and that's what she was doing last week. So if they can get the ball into her hands, build her up with confidence. They've got Tiffany Gilmore in wing attack, who's the most experienced player in their court, in their lineup, sorry. And if they really feed Burgess with some confidence, I think she'll take those long shots and, really get into the game.
Now that was a nice swing across there, and you can see Stansfield's coming out in search of the ball. They couldn't quite find her. There we go. The back into the young shooter Burgess. Couldn't quite have that one drop. This one you would hope would go in, although as you can see the signage in the background, it is really gusting here at the moment.
Yeah, and I find that interesting. I wonder if any of the shooters are worried about that, if they're just turning, looking at the post and doing their natural shot and routine that they do, or when they feel the wind, are they going to, maybe look at their shooting partner and pass off or use a centre court to go again. I think it'd be interesting to see, if there's any thought behind it, but that was a fantastic pick up by Burgess and certainly shows that your goal shooter needs to be on the line defending, because you just never know what you can pick up.
That's exactly right, and we see that this circle completely absent there for a moment as both the shooter and goal attack try in vain to get the ball of another turnover. They're causing all sorts of problems down there. I think Souths may need to look at what they're doing a little bit as Wests take the ball back, or a little bit of a fumble.
She knew it straight away in her face. I think
she tried to cover that one up. Oh dear. All right.
I think West are doing a great job defensively and showing their experience. And you can see a little bit of frustration in the faces of the shooters for South. So they just need to, I guess, play. Fantastic from Natalia.
That was a better feed in, and I'm not sure why she didn't shoot from there. Maybe it is the wind. Maybe they're hesitating a little bit. That was a nice pass. Did she manage to keep that one in?
Contact.
Yep, there you go. Nice goal. So Wests have taken quite a commanding lead here in the first quarter. There's about 2.5 minutes to go. Wests 11, Souths 5. It may not seem a big deficit, but it really is, isn't it, in these clutch games?
It is, and I think West have just done a really good job of doing their movement, doing their early prelims, and really looking in and throwing that ball, whereas I find South's attack, finding it harder to get in, with credit to West defenders making it really hard for them under the post.
Contact, goalkeeper.
And she'll get another chance at that with a contact. Young Burgess, let's hope she can sink that one. I don't know, is it the wind or is it nerves? It's confusing because it is gusting, but the West shooters don't seem to be having as much trouble.
No, and it might be a little bit of nerves early on, being obviously a younger player that can kind of creep in. And as a shooter, you just want to keep putting those shots up. But the longer that you hesitate or leave it, the kind of harder it gets. And I think one thing for Burgess is she's got fantastic height. So if she missed, she can just get back up for that rebound. So she needs to, I think, remember that as well.
A beautiful play there from West. Maddie Taylor home alone at the post again. We've got Lauren on the sideline. Loz, what's happening down there?
Well, Souths are going into it really fiercely, but they're just not quite getting there. Obviously, West are having a really good play towards their back end where it's quite sheltered, and they're putting those lobs over to Maddie, and they're just getting in every time. So I think that they're going to have to find some sort of tactic to try and just feed into that circle really strongly on their end.
There she is again. She's taken advantage. She loves it along the baseline there, and why wouldn't you? She's just sinking them one after another. Another West centre as they pull a little bit further ahead. They're having a little bit of trouble just at that quarter line there, but once they get past that, it seems a little bit easy, Sam. I think Souths may have to rethink their defence a little bit.
Yeah, and I think I touched on before, it's the pressure that the defenders do out in front of Nikita Jackson, the goalkeeper, and that was a fantastic
really great intercept.
Again, another attacking player coming through, get the intercepts, what we like.
I guess it just shows the urgency. This is a grand final. Wests, of course, are going for third in a row. To Taylor again, that was a really nice take, and she shouldn't have any problems here. West's 14 now, South 6 in the last 20 seconds of this opening quarter here in the grand final. Souths still have time for another goal as we see a big gust of wind come over the courts here. Might surprise you to learn that there's no indoor netball courts here in Newcastle. Maybe we need them, Sam.
We do. It's well, as we saw last week with the final, it couldn't go ahead because it was raining.
That's
and
right.
That's one thing that I'm very passionate about, and so many other netballers in the Hunter region, is an indoor facility to be able to play in, because as you know, the weather today impacts on the game.
Alrighty, so at the end of the first quarter, it is West Balance 1, 14, Souths Lions 6.
NBN News, nightly at 6.
Extinguishing the blaze took more than 2 hours. It caused extensive damage to number 9 and spread across into number 11 before it was brought under control.
According to Knight CEO Philip Gardner, this was a mutual decision with Nathan Brown in the club's best interest.
Driving into chaos on the morning commute. The M1 swallowed by smoke west of Lake Macquarie.
NBN News, nightly at 6.
1 p.m. Saturday on 9NBN, we're bringing you all the highlights of the Greater Bank Open Championship Grand Final. 1 p.m. Saturday on 9NBN.
NBN News, your local news in the Hunter.
The brother of Australian captain Boyd Cordner cried tears of relief as the decision was handed down.
Philip Gardner, this was a mutual decision with Nathan Brown in the club's best interest.
After months of training, they're ready to take their first steps on the beat.
Coppers management says minimising harmful emissions is a priority.
The full-time whistle sparks celebrations for Maitland.
NBN News, nightly at 6.
1 p.m. Saturday on 9NBN, we're bringing you all the highlights of the Greater Bank Open Championship Grand Final. 1 p.m. Saturday on 9NBN.
Season 2 of Location Lifestyle Living is now on air. The block's Kim and Chris show us some fun ways to de-stress after a big reno. Our resident tradie Rowan is back and making home renovation easy. Craig and I meet some amazing locals and we check out the best locations the Hunter has to offer. Make sure you tune in 12:30 Saturdays on 9 to catch all the action.
Second quarter of the Greater Bank Open Championship Grand Final. West with a commanding lead. Lauren Kemp, you were in the huddle for West at quarter time. What did Tracy Baggs have to say?
I can just say what I heard.
Yeah. Loz is just still figuring out the attack there from West. We will get to her in just a moment. We're waiting for the centre pass here to get this quarter underway. Wests, of course, have jumped away to quite the lead in the first quarter as we see the game ball, and they should just be seconds away from getting this quarter underway. Souths really have some work to do, don't they, Sam?
They do, and I think West will be really happy with their start and how dominant they've been. But South certainly have plenty of time. They've made a change with Tiffany Gilmore is now on at centre, and they've changed Zoe Peden into wing attack. So hopefully that provides a little bit of a change up and something for West to think about.
That is an interesting change because Tiffany Gilmore is the most experienced person on the court, isn't she? A former Swift and Jaeger, I believe.
She is, and I don't think I've really seen her play in centre. She's more a attacking player, so goal attack, wing attack. But you know, I think long court in attack, she might be really crucial for them. And Zoe is quite a really fast, dynamic player. So if she can really lose her wing defence and get that ball swinging, she might just be the change-up that South need.
And we'll just throw it back to Lauren now, who was in the huddle with West. And West, what did the West coach have to say?
Well, they're really wanting to work on their communication. You know, I heard some whispers of coming forward and really driving that ball in, especially in the centre court, just to be able to keep that momentum up. Hannah Simmons there wanting to come forward, and there she is again. And they're managing to have a bit better of a flow going into the second quarter.
Thank you very much, Loz. Of course, West with a 14-6 lead. They've been told to come forward, although they've gone to Maddie Taylor again, and she really does command that position there. Rhiannon Stokes is feeding really well into her. She's kind of coming out and creating that space, isn't she?
That's what you like to see, someone turn and have no hesitation and feed that ball, which I think she's doing really nicely.
As we see West with the turnover, trying to work their way back down the court. They're, of course, on the sunny end now, which is apparently more windy. Thankfully, we've got some shelter where we are, but we can see those really strong gusts coming across the court. This is the worst end for that, so we will see. But another beautiful feed in, and she's not really having any trouble today, is she?
No, and I think there's not enough pressure on the pass. There was no pressure on that pass from Rhiannon just then, which makes it really easy to pass into Maddie Taylor, and I think that might have been the first shot that she's missed today.
I believe it is, but they seem to have gotten the ball back, so she's done a really good job with that rebound.
Contact centre.
As we see a little bit of niggle from the centre and wing, and she's let that one go, but it could have easily been a held ball if she had have hesitated any longer. As we see, their lead is really blowing out at this point. Souths really do need to call on the experience of someone like Gilmore, who's shifted into centre, to see if they can get back on track.
Yeah, and as mentioned, the South players seem to be right then behind their West defenders, and they really need to, drive up the middle, do their prelims a lot earlier and get those defenders thinking about something different.
That is what Caitlin Stansfield does really well, what we saw there, as we see a little bit of a push.
That's what you expect from a grand final,
It is, isn't it? A little bit of heat in a grand final. There is nothing wrong with that. Caitlin Stansfield is very good at finding that front position, and she did that there, and that's what she's going to need to continue to do if Souths are going to close this gap. But I mean, you can't let West do that, because they'll do it all day, won't they?
Absolutely. Rhiannon Stokes is getting second phase really, really easily and turning and passing to Maddie Taylor and is not even thinking about it. So if I was goal defence, I would possibly let her get that ball, get back my 3 feet as quickly as I can, really high hands over her pass, and really make her think about whether she does want to throw that ball or whether she needs to look at another option.
And there we go. That's better movement from Souths, much better movement, but unfortunately the goal just wouldn't drop. I wonder if it's a little bit of hesitation, and you know what it's like when the goals don't drop, they just seem to keep bouncing out.
They do, and when you look at the scoreline, you're really trying to get back into the game. That was great pressure. What they really need to get it down the court and score from this turnover.
We saw a stepping call there from Buckley as Souths tried to capitalise, and we've got the goal shooter. She's way out and leaving Stansfield in to try to get the ball. Nice deflection there from the goal defence for West. McManus, they're doing a great job there keeping the ball out, and as you can see, they're really struggling. There's another deflection from her.
That was a really nice pop from Stanfield then. That's what she did really well last week against Forsyths. She was that front option. They gave her the ball straight away and she just turned and shot really nicely. So if she can start doing that a little bit more, I think she'll be a great asset for them.
She's certainly good at that, that's for sure. As we see West's with the centre pulling ahead. They're 10 goals ahead already, and we've still got 10 minutes to go in this first quarter. They did just turn it over then. As we see, Souths really need to get into action, but they're really hesitating.
They are, but that little mistake and error from West is exactly what you need. They just need to make sure that they take the ball down the court. They have more than one option. At the moment, they're all crowded onto the same side of the court. and luckily that was beautiful
was
by Zoe
excellent
Peden
footwork.
to catch that. And
she should have shot that. I mean, I'm not a
Tell
goal
her,
shooter.
tell
I'm not a
her.
goal shooter, but she should have shot that. As you can see, they've had to work it back, and they're trying to get it back in now.
And I think that's maybe, she's only 17. She's quite young. I think that's, it can be from her teammates as well to give her that confidence. No, you've got it. Turn and shoot. And like I mentioned before, she's got great height, especially over those two West defenders. She can get up and get her rebound.
Oh, she certainly can. And as you can see, there's a little bit of nudging, a little bit of push and shove in the circle. You're no stranger to that.
Defenders, what? They would never do that.
Never. Obviously very subtly.
One thing I do like from West is they've both got really nice lean over the shot, which is creating the pressure and having the shooters hold the ball in their hands a little bit longer.
All right, Lauren Kemp, we'll cross down to you. And what are you noticing in this second quarter?
Well, I'm noticing that South seem to be still hanging back a little bit, but they're very tight on their defence when they don't have the ball in their end. But then again, West are incredibly tight on their defence. It seems like both sides of defence are really coming into their own.
Especially the West's defence, Sam Pullman. We just saw a really nice deflection from Bridges. She's having a really great game in goalkeeper. She keeps positioning herself very well to get those little tips, and that's all you need, isn't it?
Exactly, and that's the strengths of her game. She can sit off and read the play really nicely. She played herself again with Central Coast Heart in Premier League last year and coaches Hunter Netball this year. So she certainly has experience at the back, and she'll know that against a young shooter that she's playing on, that she's got the kind of upper hand and the experience behind her as well.
And it just goes to show what a little bit of confidence, as there's a really nice intercept off that West's centre, but it just goes to show what happens when you've got a bit of confidence and things are going your way. You can take those extra, couple of centimetres and things might come off.
Yeah, and you take a risk and you back yourself in defence, and I think West have that confidence. South, just need to take the confidence from this little run that they've got, and each time they can close the gap back, 9 goals is really not that much.
That would have been a nice feed, but that's been called back for contact, I believe, straight into the young shooter. And again, she's not quite missed it, but she did try on that intercept and she's been given it straight back. A little cheap turnover there.
You can see her hesitation on the shot, though. I think she's more worried about Natalia Bridges, the goalkeeper from West, what she's doing rather than just turning and really let go of the shot. And I'm sure the South coaches at halftime will really identify that.
And, of course, this is the first time for many of these girls that the match will be televised, and they're playing in quite a big crowd here, so that's got to play into their minds too, surely.
Absolutely. I mean, the crowd is just fantastic. There's, lots of people cheering, lots of noise, the excitement from the grand final that it is. And like you mentioned, the fact that it's on NBN News and there's cameras around, and that just adds a whole nother level to the game, which is so fantastic for our sport locally. But as players, I think most of them, would be a little bit nervous from that because it is a big experience and a really fantastic deal as well.
It sure is. As we saw, a couple of attempted intercepts there didn't quite go their way, and Souths are really trying to close this gap, and that was a better feed in there, I thought. But again, we're seeing really great defence. They're really tight in the circle, aren't they?
They sure are, and the umpire's letting a little bit go, and I think players are looking for a contact or a call from the umpire. But in a game, you just have to play on because you don't know when they are going to call it or when they're going to let it go. So
beautiful
that was a
pass, Sam.
Yes, fantastic pass, and Rhiannon, I think, was really smart. She cut off her defender, which means she come forward to the ball, which really cut out her defender from getting that intercept.
They're really feeding the ball into their shooters really well at the moment. They are, of course, throwing the ball around. Loz, what are you seeing from where you are?
At that break after the first quarter really seemed to do something because they're just playing as a whole new team in this next little bit. As we can see, South are still struggling quite a little bit. We've just seen someone go down there, centre.
That's Tiffany Gilmore. Yep. She is struggling to her feet a little bit, but she's tough and she's going to try to walk it off, I think. I think she's okay. That's what happens in this game, and these courts are hard, and when you fall on them, gosh, it hurts.
They do, and that was a pretty physical contact there, but I liked that she got up straight away because it looked didn't look good when she held her head and on cement. It's always a worry.
And look, you and I, we've both fallen on these courts and
many scraped knees.
Exactly, you don't get up feeling very good.
I know, I'm the princess now that plays on floorboards and doesn't have to worry about weather or falling over anymore. But another pick-up from South was exactly what they need.
They do seem to have turned it around a little bit in the second half of this second quarter. They are moving it around quite well now. Starting to settle in perhaps a little bit of nerves crept in the first quarter, and they are starting to settle, not worrying about West so much, concentrating on what they've done to get them here.
Yeah, and I think that player, Tiff Lincoln, Tiff Gilmore, that was her maiden name, took every second pass down the court then, which shows she's the one that wants the ball in her hands, and she's not afraid to make passing errors, and that was a fantastic shot from mid-range.
They are really fast in transition today, this West side. They seem to not be wasting many of their opportunities, as we see South try to take a leaf out of their book and move it around quickly, but they've had to go backwards, which is never ideal.
No, it isn't, but it shows the patience that South have. They're okay to go back if they don't have an option forward and play it around, which is a strength of theirs, and the look-away pass to Burgess was really nice there.
And that should be a confidence-boosting goal for the young shooter. She's had a couple bounce off today, but sometimes all it takes is one or two to drop, and then they all start dropping. Beautiful pass in there from the experienced centre in Sophie Buckley, who's also their captain. And, of course, Rhiannon Stokes makes no mistake there. It does seem a little bit easy when West get the ball down their end, doesn't it?
It does, but what I loved about the last two plays from West is that Maddie Taylor had dominated a lot of the first quarter and into the start of the second quarter. And what I maybe was questioning whether Rhiannon was feeding really well, but whether she was getting into the game, she was comfortable to take a shot. And the last two plays, she's confidently just turned mid-range and shot. And
beautiful
there again,
pass there on the run.
Absolutely. So I think it shows that not only do they have Maddie Taylor, dominant goal shooter, but Rhiannon Stokes is just as dominant and happy to take the ball.
They are working really well together, aren't they, Lauren, down there on the sideline?
West just have that force in their pass that just manages to get it into the circle and really drive it home. I think South will really have to pick up their game in that regard if they want to get the ball back down their end and make a bit of a comeback before the second half.
They have picked up a little South, but West's throwing it around with ease when they get down into that quarter, as we see Sophie Buckley with the ball, and she's looking to Maddie Taylor as they have been in the initial stages of this match. That's an unusual miss for her, but they will get the ball back, and let's see if South can maintain that pressure. That was a nice deflection there. But we have contact on Gilmore, and there we see Stokes with the ball again, and another one bouncing out, but she's going to get a second chance.
Maybe the wind, you never know.
We'll blame the wind. It is windy down that end. This tree up, there's the end that Souths are playing at the moment, seems to be sheltering a few of those gusts.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit more protected, which is nice. And that's the things that you have to be aware of as teams. You know, what end will you have an advantage of? What end do you maybe need to pass it close to the post? And again, great hands over by Natalia Bridges.
It just does show what that pressure of the defence.
It does, and I think with her experience, she'll probably know that she's got it a little bit over her opponent, and as an experienced player, you want to keep building on that. You don't want to give them confidence in going back into the game.
And Wests are feeding it straight into Taylor, but the wind took hold of that one. She couldn't quite get the ball. Souths have another opportunity. They've really got to close the gap here before this match runs away from them.
Yeah, and what is a little bit different about West is they're all sitting off in long court at the moment, so they're not one-on-one on their player, they're offline, they're floating, and resulted in a turnover. So a really nice change-up tactically for West there.
What does that do to the attacking side when you see, a wall of players there?
It just provides something different to think about. When you are one-on-one, you as a passer, you turn and see where you need to place the ball. when you see offline defence, you turn and think that you have a really good, easy option to throw to. Bad luck by Cummings there. But, so you feel like there's options to throw to, and that ball might be the ball that you throw to, and it gets intercepted. So just something different to think about, and I thought it worked for them.
Well, they did have a better second quarter, Souths, but as we wrap up the second quarter, we head into half-time here in the Greater Bank Open Championship Grand Final. It is West Balance 126, Souths Lions 14.
NBN News, nightly at 6.
Extinguishing the blaze took more than 2 hours. It caused extensive damage to number 9 and spread across into number 11 before it was brought under control.
According to Knight CEO Philip Gardner, this was a mutual decision with Nathan Brown in the club's best interest.
Driving into chaos on the morning commute. The M1 swallowed by smoke west of Lake Macquarie.
NBN News, nightly at 6.
1 p.m. Saturday on 9NBN, we're bringing you all the highlights of the Greater Bank Open Championship Grand Final. 1 p.m. Saturday on 9NBN.
NBN News, your local news in the Hunter.
The brother of Australian captain Boyd Cordner cried tears of relief as the decision was handed down.
Philip Gardner, this was a mutual decision with Nathan Brown in the club's best interest.
After months of training, they're ready to take their first steps on the beat.
Coppers management says minimising harmful emissions is a priority.
The full-time whistle sparks celebrations for Maitland.
NBN News, nightly at 6.
1 p.m. Saturday on 9NBN, we're bringing you all the highlights of the Greater Bank Open Championship Grand Final. 1 p.m. Saturday on 9NBN.
Season 2 of Location Lifestyle Living is now on air. The Block's Kim and Chris show us some fun ways to de-stress after a big reno. Our resident tradie Rowan is back and making home renovation easy. Craig and I meet some amazing locals and we check out the best locations the Hunter has to offer. Make sure you tune in 12:30 Saturdays on 9 to catch all the action.
Okay, it is half-time here at the Greater Bank Open Championship Grand Final as we see the teams getting direction from their coaches and the crowd. Well, it is really building. It is a really great turnout here, Sam Pullman.
It is, and it's such an exciting game, and West have really come out and dominated really early on.
They sure have. They have got out to quite the lead here as we take into account a couple of the statistics from the first half here in the Greater Bank Open Championship Grand Final. We will take a look at some of those in a moment, but we might throw down to Lauren Kemp, who I believe is in the huddles with one of the teams.
Well, West are going into it with a nearly 12-point lead, and we've got the coach here, Tracy. And Tracy, how are you looking going into it?
We're feeling okay. We've put some fresh legs on the court for this second half, so we've made 2 changes, one in the shooting end and one in the mid-court. So we're hoping that we can get ahead of Souths just with that freshness.
Yeah, I noticed that you put Tasha in goal attack. How do you think you'll go there?
I think it's going to make a difference. She's fast, and both her and Maddie play together at Premier League, so hopefully that combination is going to work well with Sophie and Hannah providing good ball to them.
It seems like the communication is coming up there and you're really driving it into the circle. Do you want to continue that?
We do. We want to be a little bit more composed about it. I think at times we're rushing, but I do want to see the ball moving a lot quicker than it has been, especially through that mid-court. So, yes.
Well, all the best going into the second half.
Thank you very much.
Of course, Tracy Baggs is a very experienced coach there, the coach of Wests. As we take a little look at the highlights from the first half where Wests really dominated. They really found it quite easy to get it into their shooters, and their defence was just as important, wasn't it, Sam, keeping the pressure on the South shooters?
It certainly was. I think the defenders did a fantastic job of really creating the hesitation and the unsure whether to throw it, whether to move, and really put doubt in their shot, which is really crucial for the West defenders.
Rhiannon and Maddie, the West shooting combination, they really dominated. They found their space very well, and for much of that first half, Rhiannon was actually feeding really well into Maddie Taylor, wasn't she?
I thought so, and what I liked is that they were confident to let the ball go really, really early in the match, and then Rhiannon did a really nice job of coming into the game in the last part of that second quarter.
They sure did. Okay, Souths have a big deficit to make up here in the second half of the Greater Bank Grand Final. West's 26, South's 14. And we are back in the second half of the Greater Bank Open Championship Grand Final. Souths, for them, it is really now or never. They have quite the deficit to make up here.
They certainly do, and that was a really nice turnover.
That makes a difference. They've also changed their wing attack and taken Zoe Peden off the court. So they're really trying to, I guess, change and provide something different, which they need to do with a scoreline like that. I guess you can't keep it the same. You have to change up and try something different.
That's right, they absolutely do. And as we saw, Sam, when we were kind of walking over to half-time, the coaches of South were really talking to the goalkeeper and trying to give them some direction, weren't they?
Yeah, they were talking to Nikita Jackson. Obviously, we've spoken quite a bit about Maddie Taylor and how dominant that she has been in goal shooter. And I think Nikita Jackson's probably stayed on the body and hasn't worked out how to stop Maddie. I saw her giving a little bit of advice of trying to get Maddie holding away from the post and trying to receive the ball further out. So let's just see if she comes off the body and changes up what she does and provides Maddie something else to think about.
Of course, Maddie Taylor is on this second half. We weren't sure whether she would, but they've made the change in goal attack. West bringing on Tasha, who's another Premier League player, and so no, they're really stacking it, aren't they?
They certainly are. I think Rhiannon did a fantastic job at goal attack, but like we mentioned at the start of the game, they have really strong shooting combination to work with, and as you mentioned, this is the starting lineup or attack end for the Central Coast Heart. So these two, goal shooter and goal attack, can certainly play on New South Wales' best in Premier League. So the fact that they're out here locally playing on a Saturday's grand final is just incredible, and yeah, I think it's a huge asset and shows the strength in West.
It is so exciting, and of course the crowd is building and they're all here to see these wonderful players. Lauren Kemp is among the crowd. Lauren, what's happening down there?
Trudy, and how are things looking for your side here?
Yeah, we're not going for the ball too much, and we really need to, my half-time message was to everybody getting into that ball, really going for that ball. We need to, that first ball contest, we really need to make it a bit harder for West to get that ball, just like that.
Yeah, great.
And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for a lot stronger work out on that court. We are leaving it up to them to decide, and here we go again. And it's exactly what I'm after. But cherish the ball.
You've got some tight defence there, so...
Yeah, we do. Oh,
great.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lauren, with the coach of South. She's very experienced. She's asking for more contest on the ball, more first ball contest, and that's really that one-on-one, isn't it, Sam?
It is, and with a scoreline like it is, you need to get ball back, and doing the work defensively means that you need to be one-on-one tight on your player, and when the opportunity is there to go through and take the intercept, they need that to really close that gap. And I think defensively, that was one of their strengths last week. They really were one-on-one, made it really hard for Forsyths to attack down the court, and then they finished off by coming through and taking the intercept. So I can understand why their coach is asking for that.
It definitely has worked for them throughout the season, so we will wait and see whether that plan works this afternoon because they are chasing a big deficit. They are down 27-15 as we see a really good intercept there, and that's what Trudy is after, and that's what they're really going to have to deliver, isn't it?
Absolutely, and that's what we spoke about a little bit in the first quarter, is they need hands over that feeder, that person that's throwing into the shooters, just to make it harder. And you showed there, great hands over the ball resulted in a turnover. That's what Sass needs to do.
As we see Stansfield, she does like the drive, but they hesitate, and suddenly there's a deflection and Wests win the ball back. We are 10 minutes into this, the third quarter of the Greater Bank Open Championship Grand Final, and so far it has been West dominating, Maddie Taylor dominating there as we see a beautiful feed into her, and she rarely makes a mistake.
It's interesting with a lead like West have. They've actually made a change with the wing defence. So Cullen has come on at wing defence, and she is another young player, only at 18. She plays across all positions, so wing attack, centre and wing defence. And is another promising player. She played last year for Central Coast Heart in the Premier League and is now playing for the Erina Hawks. So experienced young player, but certainly exciting as well.
Is the third quarter the quarter to experiment if you're going to?
Yeah, I think they've played a half, and they've been really confident in what they're doing. It shows that their coach, Tracy, is confident in their bench, and these players can come on court and make an impact. West are in a position where they're, confident. They can play the ball, they can have a goal in defence, and making changes that can slot in quite nicely, and are really making a good impact as soon as they've come on the court.
Fresh legs always help too as we see the ball bounce out there. Lauren Kemp, what are you seeing from where you are, Loz?
Well, look, West are looking absolutely great at the moment. I mean, I think at the moment the score is nearly doubled for Souths. They seem to have changed up their tactics even again going into the third quarter, and it just seems like they're throwing a few more bounce passes into the mix, which is changing things up a little bit.
They sure are. As we see Souths with the ball, they're having a little bit of difficulty finding Stansfield and Burgess there. As we see, Tiffany's taken another tumble.
Yeah, Cullen did a great job of contesting that pocket ball, which is what you want from a centre quarter. You want them to be pressuring that pass over, right on the line, and she, I guess, wants to show her impact early in the game.
She certainly does, and Tiffany Gilmore, well, she's not afraid to put her body on the line. We've seen her on the deck a couple of times already.
She's going to be sore tonight when she gets home.
She certainly is, but that's what netball's all about.
And that just shows her want for this game, her want to get the team back, and she's on court captain today. So little things like that show her team that she's putting on the body on the line. She wants this. It's important to her and the team, and that's what you want from a senior player. It certainly lifts the players around you.
It certainly helps when you have the experience on the court. Of course, we see the South's bench from where we are, and they're stacked with experience. Unfortunately, 4 season-ending injuries. So these young girls out here really are doing a great job for them.
They are, and as hard as it is to lose your dominant players, and with such season-ending injuries as ACLs, which puts you out of the game for 12 months. I think the exciting thing for South as a club is they're getting young players out to experience finals, to experience grand final, and when these older experienced players come back from their injuries, they're going to have too many players to pull from, which is a really nice thing, that they're developing the younger talent of their club, and South have always been a really strong club, and I think this is just going to, if I put a positive spin on it, help them for years to come.
It's a really nice luxury to have, certainly, and we've seen Narelle Ether, one of their experienced players, who is one of the ones out with an ACL, and she was giving some instructions to the young Souths players at half time. And as we see Burgess there, she drove along the baseline and she's got that one, but she's just struggling to get her goals to drop today.
She is, and you can see her wiping her face there in the frustration. I think the shoulders kind of just dropped then, and yeah, I think I'd hope that at half-time, I'm sure the coaches were really trying to tell her what her strengths are, and that was that was came off. I was going to say how great that was.
Oh, you got to try.
You do, and I think that's the position that Wests are in. They can,
they're throwing it around.
Risks. Yeah.
As we see Tasha Hawley, that one doesn't drop, but she's chased down that rebound. It just shows the desperation of these West players. They're going for a third championship in a row, which would be quite the achievement. And another one drops out. That's unusual.
She's laughing.
Maybe she can hear me. I've jinxed her. But she's managed to get the ball back, Maddie Taylor, and she makes no mistake on that one. Wests have pulled ahead. They are now 32 points to 16 with the centre pass, and they rapidly move the ball down the court. They really are throwing it around with confidence.
They are, and I think their movement, they're just going down the court a lot easier than what Souths are, and they're taking risks like that. Sophie just put an absolute bullet down to Maddie. Luckily, she was ready and tried to keep it in, but that's nice play. That's what you want to see when you're that far in front.
And as we can see, the contrasting styles here for Souths, for a moment there when they were moving down the court, there was absolutely no one in the circle. They might be trying to mix it up, but it does, lessen the options, doesn't it?
It does, and makes it a little bit harder. Again, you can see Natalia Bridges, great hands over there, and has been pulled up. So hopefully she'll sink this shot now.
It's just not dropping. It's just one of those days,
I
isn't
think they're focusing on the defence's hands over, which they're doing a great job and finding it really hard to shoot over the top of them.
Lauren Kemp will cross back down to you. Lauren, what's happening where you are?
Well, look, you're right there. The defence is really strong in the West's up against South Circle. But look, you just look into their eyes of Souths, and they don't look like they're giving up. They look like they're actually getting hungrier for the ball, and that's something that I think that they're going to continue going into the back end of this.
That is certainly what they need. There's plenty of time. We've got 4 minutes left in this third quarter. We've got another quarter of 15 minutes to go. So it is quite the deficit, but they do have time as we see West's trying to capitalise again. That was a nice play there from Tasha Hawley. Unfortunately, that wouldn't drop, and a very important rebound there, seeing if Souths can move the ball down the court. But look at that West defence as Sophie Buckley hits the deck. She won't mind. She's straight back up.
That was a great contest, and Maddie Taylor pushed her there to make sure that she was get up and keep running on. But yeah, that was a great rebound and exactly what they need to do. They need to, if there's a missed shot, get up there and capitalise from the missed shot.
Stansfield with a much-needed goal for Souths, 33-17. They do have quite the deficit, but they are not giving up. Wests with the centre, a beautiful intercept there from Jackson. Lovely play.
It was, and that's exactly what you want to happen. South,
as we see, what an injury replacement by the looks of it.
No, they're taking Burgess off, and I saw Zoe Peden warming up on the sideline.
There we go. So all right, well, that's interesting. Interesting tactic with 2 or so minutes to go in this quarter.
Come on, speed it up.
Speed it up, I hear the umpire saying.
And rightly so.
Yeah, so you only have about 30 seconds to make an injury change. So I think they're all working out who needs to be
They're trying
where.
to put their patches on, who's playing where, I don't know. Here we go, and they're back underway. And as we can see, the centre hasn't put her patch on. Don't worry about that. And it's fallen off.
Yeah, hopefully the umpire will fix that in a second. They didn't put it on properly though too. But the swap provides hopefully umpire will see it. Nope.
Still on the ground.
It provides South now a more moving circle. So something for the defenders to think about.
That is not their buzzer. It is always confusing here at National Park. We've got many games happening. And
it's a bit of confusion going on. That's okay. The umpire's laughing about it. He's known that he's just acknowledged that he made the wrong call there. That's okay.
Look, at least they're having fun out here. And that is a very familiar sight, that sound, that buzzer, for anyone who's played netball in Newcastle. Alrighty, as we see Souths with this new look combination here. We've got Gilmore in goal attack. And Stansfield's dropped back to shoot her, and she's really hesitating a little bit. She's really got to take her shots, I think.
Yeah, and I'm finding it interesting both defenders now putting up their hand over the shot when she's shooting. So I don't know if maybe Tiff is a really experienced and smart player. She might open up for the shooter pass to try and get a little bit of pressure away from those defenders. So them coming on now provides a really moving circle for South.
And what does it do when teams substitute, midway through a quarter? Does that throw the other side a little bit?
I think it's just something for them to think about, something different, which is exactly what you need with a lead like this. Defenders for the West have been quite dominant. Now with a moving circle, the ball will move a lot quicker, so it might play in South's hands a little bit more.
As we see West swing the ball across the circle there and find Tasha Hawley. She's just adjusted herself a little bit to get a bit closer to the post. And that's why that one drops quite easily. West's 34, South's 19 as we come to the end of this third quarter. The fourth quarter is certainly going to be interesting. It is going to be make or break for Souths, that's for sure, as that one doesn't go anywhere near the goal. And Wests have been great on the transition all day, and this one is no different. They are moving around freely. They're coming forward. They seem to be creating space with ease.
They are, and I think that goes back to not only letting the ball go when you see it, but the movement before that, making sure that you're an option when the player turns and throws that ball.
And there we go. We are at the end of the third quarter. Just 1 quarter to go in the Greater Bank Open Championship Grand Final. West Balance 135, South's Lions 19.
NBN News, nightly at 6.
Extinguishing the blaze took more than 2 hours. It caused extensive damage to number 9 and spread across into number 11 before it was brought under control.
According to Night CEO Philip Gardner, this was a mutual decision with Nathan Brown in the club's best interest.
Driving into chaos on the morning commute. The M1 swallowed by smoke west of Lake Macquarie.
NBN News, nightly at 6.
1 p.m. Saturday on 9NBN, we're bringing you all the highlights of the Greater Bank Open Championship Grand Final. 1 p.m. Saturday on 9NBN.
Season 2 of Location Lifestyle Living is now on air. The block's Kim and Chris show us some fun ways to de-stress after a big reno. Our resident tradie Rowan is back and making home renovation easy. Craig and I meet some amazing locals and we check out the best locations the Hunter has to offer. Make sure you tune in 12:30 Saturdays on 9 to catch all the action.
Welcome back to the fourth quarter of the Greater Bank Open Championship Grand Final. West with a commanding lead. Souths, it is do or die for them. It is now or never. They've made several changes heading into this fourth quarter. Let's see if they work. They're chasing a big deficit. Lauren Kemp has been down near the huddle for Souths. Lauren, what has been the instruction?
Well, look, it just seems like they've got more time here at the moment just to have a bit of a chat. But what I'm hearing at the moment is that there's just a lot of morale boosting going on by the coach down here. You know, she's really just trying to get spirits up. A few of the players look a little bit deflated, but they're going into the third quarter with a really, they're going into the last part of the game with a really good energy. And I don't think they're giving up anytime soon.
Thank you, Lauren, as we see the teams make their way back onto court for the final quarter of the Greater Bank Open Championship Grand Final. Sam Pullman is with me, and Sam, you would have to say it's going to take a miracle for Souths to come back at this stage.
It is. I think the gap now in the scoreline is quite convincing. And not just that, but West are playing so confidently, and that's hard to beat. But Souths are a really proud club. They're proud players, so I'm sure they'll want to go out in this last quarter and really try and close the gap as much as they can.
West with the first centre of this final quarter, and they are moving down the court.
Contact.
We're again seeing Maddie Taylor in goal, shooter Tasha Hawley in the goal attack, the two Premier League players with a well-established combination. Maddie's screaming out for the ball, but they couldn't quite get it to her as they reset. And perhaps this is a sign of that urgency and the morale boost that we are waiting for. The shooting accuracy is a little bit down today for both sides. I suspect that the wind is contributing to that. West's 78% of their shots, South 61. So that is quite telling because we have seen South hesitate a little bit and a lot of their shots just aren't dropping.
They have, and I think that's also credit to the defenders from West really providing that pressure over the shot. And I don't think, the wind really helps going from an indoor game last week where you don't have to worry about any of those elements, and then today being quite a windy day, I'm sure that would play in their mind a little bit.
It sure has, as we see a beautiful bounce pass there from Gilmore into Stansfield. She doesn't look as excited as I would hope. I mean, it's a big
really
deficit.
Nice play
it was a
then.
beautiful play. I'd be celebrating that one. As we see, they've been doing it all day. They've found Maddie Taylor. She couldn't make that one drop, but she has scored the rebound, and she's going to do it again. I mean, she may
She's
as well.
laughing at herself. Oh, and again. She's getting tired. She needs to bend her knees a little bit
that
more.
doesn't happen to her very often, but West have managed to get the ball back. There's a bit of a scrap there. A few girls on the ground. Up you get. There we go.
And I think it just shows young players that are on the sideline watching today that she continually wants to take up the shots, but she's also the first one straight up there to get her own rebounds. And as a young player, that's something that you need to learn and is really important. So it's great that she's going up for her own rebounds as well.
Absolutely. They're not always going to go in as much as you want them to, as that ball just drifts across the baseline there, and West win it back. They have been good on the transition all day today, moving it, but South seem to have changed up their defence just slightly. Their coach has been wanting more contest on the ball, and that was a beautiful, beautiful job there. Maddie Taylor just was not in position, and the goalkeeper capitalised on that, but straight away it's been turned over again. And we can see the experience of West starting to come through in this final quarter. They're not phased, and they are playing their normal game.
Which I'm really happy to see. We spoke about it during pre-game, if they would let that ball go and if they would have the confidence to do that early. And I think this is just why it's really playing for them now, is because they've got no hesitation. The option's there. They're turning and letting it go. So I'm sure Tracy, their coach, and beautiful once again.
That was lovely play. And I have to praise the umpires today because they've let this game flow. And it is a really exciting way to watch netball when we can see these women playing at their best.
Yeah, they've done a really great job. I think at the first quarter they probably pulled up a couple of things just to show what they wanted from players and what was expected in the game, and now players have adjusted and they're making some great smart calls, and when we talk about grand finals it's just as nerve-wracking for them, I'm sure, and they want to be on their best. So yeah, I agree. I think they've done a great job today.
Absolutely. And of course, we've got microphones on the umpires. It's probably the first time that they've had to do that. And so they've been doing a fantastic job.
They have.
All right, Lauren Kemp, we're going to cross back down to Lauren. And Lauren, what can you see from where you are?
There's just some real fire in the eyes of the defence, and it's just, you can tell, I mean, especially with Nikita Jager in goalkeeper, and she's seeming to get that pass and put it back into their other end.
Nikita Jackson-Shaw has had a very consistent game, hasn't she, Sam? She's really dominating that circle.
I like the last couple of plays she's come out and had a go. You can't do much more than that as a goalkeeper. You've got to have a go now because it's going to go under the post anyway. Maddie is such a dominant player, and
beautiful pass there.
Just unfortunate.
But it just got away from her. That would have been a spectacular one for sure, as West's lead now has blown out to 20 goals with just 10 minutes remaining in this grand final. For Souths, well, that's a mountain to climb, isn't it? So we see Gilmore with the ball and it drops out.
Yeah, and it's not what they hoped for going into the game. Today's game, they earned their spot last week, and West have just dominated today and been the better team.
Do you think that the Souths, they're really giving away that back position there for Taylor? Did they need to maybe, push her out a little bit more?
Yeah, I found it interesting this quarter and the one before. Both defenders for Souths have dropped back and worried about and double-teamed Maddie Taylor, because obviously she's been quite dominant. But what it's allowed to come into the game is Hawley to come in and really dominate herself. So I'm not sure defensively if that's working anymore, but like you mentioned, you need to get Maddie outside the circle and away from that post.
And as we see, beautiful pressure there from Nikita Jackson, and she managed to get the ball moving back down the court for Wests, who are transitioning beautifully. And again, we see they've given away that back position, and she's close to the post, but she can't quite make it. But again, she's really chasing those rebounds.
She is. She must be tired.
She's laughing at herself.
Yeah, she is.
She's giving it her all.
Goal shooter, obstruction.
Giving away a penalty, maybe deliberately have a bit of a breath. Wouldn't blame her.
Yeah, and I think both teams are getting a bit tired now. It's a lot of energy gets used on nerves, and
as we see, Gilmore can't stay off the ground today, and she's getting up a little bit slower than the last couple of times. It is a non-contact sport, Sam, but it is very physical.
Yes, and it is, and you just see two athletes wanting the ball and going for it themselves, and Natalia and Tiff both have a history, so I'm sure that they're not going to back down at all, and that's what you want from players.
As we see the goalkeeper out of position outside of the circle, which would have been a good time to capitalise, and we see Stansfield with the ball here. She's not had the best day, but that didn't quite drop again. She's really struggled a little bit today, but she's continued to try, which is all that you can really ask as we head into the final 8 minutes of this grand final.
Yeah, and I think West now are probably making a few errors and not doing what they did well at the start. So I'm sure their coach will be trying to yell at them to really finish off the game. You can see their defensive pressure again. They've put on that full court offline defence, trying to disrupt South.
And that has really worked for them today. It's created a little bit of panic, I suspect, when you turn around and you see all those black dresses in your way, and it's making it a little bit more difficult for Souths to move the ball down. Wests with another centre, the lead 20 points as we start to wind down the clock in this grand final of the Greater Bank Open Championship. As you mentioned, Wests seem to have relaxed a little bit. Perhaps they've got one eye on the scoreboard.
They would, and it's a chance for them to enjoy it as well. With a scoreline like this, you know that you've won this now, and what a moment for them to enjoy the last 7 minutes of the game.
Exactly, and they've all got smiles on their faces. There's a little bit of a contrast with South, but they're certainly not giving up. I mean, it is one really big mountain that they have to climb now, as we see Sophie Buckley with an intercept, and she's never going to give up. But Souths will get the ball back, a throw in there just on the quarter line, as we see if they can get the ball through to Gilmore, and they do. And Stansfield, see if she can sink this one. She's been having a little bit of trouble. It is a bit more sheltered.
She's just
that
had
a little bit of
comments. She's had enough. She
has had enough. Yeah,
said something.
There's a little bit of fire down there in the circle, and that's what we would expect in a grand final. Lauren Kemp, we're starting to get into the closing stages of this match. What are you seeing?
I mean, even though things seem a bit locked and loaded in terms of Wests, you're right, Souths aren't giving up. They're coming more into their own in the circle, and they're starting to sink a few more goals, which is always nice to see. They're keeping up that energy, and we can just see a nice hug there between keeper and the shooter, so that's always nice to see too.
Of course, a lot of these netballers on opposing sides will know each other very well, so it is a situation, a unique situation we have here in Newcastle. They would have played together growing up, and just because they're on opposite sides of the court doesn't mean they're not friends.
No, and that shows the sportsmanship as well. You can have little moments like that in a game, and yeah, like you mentioned, I'm sure most of them are friends off the court.
All right, Souths don't have much longer to try to close this gap. I suspect for them now it's all about just trying to minimise the gap and trying to finish really strong. As we see, that's a beautiful goal. That's more like it. That's what we've seen through the season from Caitlin Stansfield, and she shook her head a little bit, but she does have a bit of a wry smile. As we see Maddie Taylor, she's out of the circle. Nice deflection there. West will get the ball back here. And they've swung it across. And Souths really are continuing the fight. They're not going to give this one up easily.
And that's what you want. This is a great level of netball here in the Hunter, and you want players like that. You want them to keep going no matter what the scoreline is, what situation you are in a game. And that's a great pressure from South's defensive unit. Great tip from Nikita, and then supported by her centre quarters, which is exactly what you want.
And they're lucky to get that ball back because it looked like it was going out, but they have managed to win the penalty, and they've got straight back into the circle. And she does seem to have a little bit more confidence, Stansfield, now that a couple of those balls have dropped. As we see Tiffany Gilmore, that's just gone straight over the top. From this angle, it almost looked like it went in.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what you want from her. She probably wants to finish the game more confident and really shooting like she can and like we've spoken about that she has all year.
It's a really good hold there, unlucky. And she's been pulled back. And there we go. So South's up to 25 now, West's 42, so they have a commanding lead. But it is certainly not over yet in this grand final of the Greater Bank Open Championship. A little bit of hesitation here, and that's all it takes. And that ball has been thrown away, and that wind will take it. Wests will get the ball back, and they've been fast moving their way up the court. Let's see if they can do that again.
That's one thing that they've found really easy today, and we've just jinxed it.
Yeah,
that was a really nice intercept from Zoe Peden there. But yeah, they have found it quite easy, but it just shows that you have to be ready as attacking players to defend, and Zoe took a really nice intercept there.
She certainly did, and as we see, a few laughs, a little bit of frustration, but at least they're still having fun out there.
And they can enjoy this moment now. They can, not throw a ball so much like that, but they can, have a go in defence and let that ball go confidently in attack now.
And you can see Wests have taken the foot off the accelerator, that's for sure. And, I mean, they can afford to at this point. We've got just 3 minutes to go in this grand final with a very commanding lead. Stansfield's doing her best to try to claw it back. But you would have to say with Wests taking this centre pass, they will certainly win their third straight premiership in just a few minutes' time.
Which is really exciting, and it's nice to see the under-23 West girls that are standing at the moment behind West Bench. So they trained together on the same night. So not only did they win their grand final in extra time just before this game, but they're also, I'm sure, just as excited for their club to win this grand final, and then also their teammates who they play against. So it's really nice to see them standing up there in support of their, West League's Balance One team.
Of course, Wests is a proud club here in Newcastle, a massive club. You only have to go down to New Lambton on any given weeknight and you'll see many, many kids training, and they all want to play in this game. It is great to see so many of them out here watching these girls really dominate.
Yeah, and I think, if girls go away from this game going home tonight telling their mum, dad or whoever looks after them that one day I want to be out playing in that same dress and on that same court, then this is what it's all about. And I think it's just been a fantastic day for netball, and what a better way to showcase our fantastic sport in the Hunter.
You are certainly right. As Maddie Taylor sinks another one, they found her wide open in the circle. She really loves it down there. She just hovers around that baseline and gets her body in the perfect position, and she's got some beautiful teammates feeding in some perfect balls to her.
She does, and that's something that, Maddie's been so dominant and done a really good job of holding her defender out and then turning and shooting. But we probably don't talk enough about the players in front of her, the centre quarters that get her the ball. I've really liked them turning and passing and having confidence to let that ball go as well.
And the vision, because you do have to be looking ahead, and it might not be the obvious pass, but they've really been having a look, reading the play really well.
And that's just another contest with Natalia and Tiff that's just happened there. So they still won't back off.
No, they're still
having
going.
a go with about 40 seconds left on the clock.
And here we go. See if Stansfield can get one back. She has. She's come good in the last few minutes, and she's giving her team a little clap there. Look, it hasn't been her day, but she certainly hasn't given up. As we see West with the ball, they've got plenty of time to add to their score. 20 or so seconds left. And as we see Tasha Hawley with the ball now, and that one went right over the top. I don't think we can blame the wind for that one, because it was going in the opposite direction. As we see a loose ball, but that was well gathered.
And great tip by their captain,
Sophie Buckley. She's already off. She's in the crowd at the moment. And there we go. It is full time in the Greater Bank Open Championship Grand Final. West Balance 145, South Lions 27, securing their third straight title here. Congratulations to this West team who have really dominated this Grand Final. And as we see the teams embracing, we spoke about it before, Sam, they may be on opposite teams, but there's a lot of friendships happening out there, and Wests with massive smiles on their faces, and why wouldn't they, with their third straight championship on this historic day for netball in Newcastle.
Absolutely, and both teams should be really proud of their seasons getting through to the grand final and playing today. But I think, pure enjoyment on the West girls' faces, which is just fantastic.
I see Lauren Kemp, she's lined up, the West captain, Sophie Buckley, who had a magnificent game. She's a player who never gives up. Lauren, you're with Sophie now.
Yeah, and look, the energy is amazing. Sophie, I could see you cheering there. How does it feel to be winners?
Oh, it's amazing. It really is. We've worked really hard all season, and to come out and win on such a special day like this is really nice.
Yeah, and what's been the feel around the whole team?
Just excitement. I think there are a bit of nerves, but we're just excited, very excited, and to get a win like that, it just tops it off.
And what do you think it was that got you over the line?
I think just our commitment to just not give up. If a ball didn't go our way, we just kept our heads and were really, really composed, I think.
Yeah. Wonderful. Is there any highlights of the game for you?
Probably when I just tried to shoot a goal then, but yeah, that's about it.
Great. Well, congratulations and good win.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, I'm down here with the on-court captain of South's, Tiffany Gilmore. And Tiff, that was a tough loss, but you've still got a smile on your face.
What can you do? You know, we tried our best. They are a superb team. They're so hard to play, and we gave it all. We gave it everything. That's all we can do.
Well, we certainly saw that in evidence with you on the deck a couple of times, and there was a little bit of niggle in the circle, but it just goes to show the competitiveness and the rivalry between these two teams.
Oh, that's right. It's long-standing, West and South, you know, but it was niggly in the circle, but that's what the contest is about, and that's why our competition is so amazing. It's tough.
Of course, we see a lot of your experienced players on the sideline, unfortunately, with the injuries, but the young girls really did step up today, didn't they?
They played brilliant. I couldn't be more proud of the young girls. That's a big thing to come out. You know, some of them haven't even played half a season with us, so 16-year-olds, they did a great job.
And of course, it's the first time a match like this has been televised, and for many of the girls, it's the first time they've played on camera. So, you know, that's something for them to write home about, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Like, it's so thrilling. Even I was excited. It's been about 10 years since I used to do it, and it just adds to the occasion. It was absolutely amazing, and we're so lucky to be given the opportunity.
Well, thank you very much, Tiffany Gilmore. South certainly can hold their heads up high. I'll throw back now to Lauren Kemp.
Yes, I'm here with Tracy from Wests, and third year in a row. How do you feel?
I'm very excited now. I've been very nervous, which I think is a good thing given the amount of years that I have been coaching, that I still get that nervousness. But these girls are amazing. They play for each other. They're very talented, but why they do so well is because they do play for each other. So, yeah.
Over the moon, I can imagine. And
over the moon. And as we can see, we're building a really strong culture here at West. We've got our 23s that played really strong today before us in that first ever competition. So the 23s are the future, and they're the ones that we're building and bringing through and learning from these girls today.
Yeah, and I mean, you could see that confidence coming in as the game progressed. What do you think it was that got the team over the line?
Just believing in each other. I used the word before at half time. We were working on composure, being the ones that controlled the game, believing in each other, and right through to the end, no matter who we put on there. So,
ready to go for next season then?
I am. I'll just have to check with the girls. So yes, definitely. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
West Balance 1 celebrating their third straight premiership with a 45-27 point win over the South Lions. It's a great afternoon for netball here in Newcastle. We'll be back soon.
NBN News, nightly at 6.
Extinguishing the blaze took more than 2 hours. It caused extensive damage to number 9 and spread across into number 11 before it was brought under control.
According to Night CEO Philip Gardner, this was a mutual decision with Nathan Brown in the club's best interest.
Driving into chaos on the morning commute. The M1 swallowed by smoke west of Lake Macquarie.
NBN News, nightly at 6.
1 p.m. Saturday on 9NBN, we're bringing you all the highlights of the Greater Bank Open Championship Grand Final. 1 p.m. Saturday on 9NBN.
Season 2 of Location Lifestyle Living is now on air. The block's Kim and Chris show us some fun ways to de-stress after a big reno. Our resident tradie Rowan is back and making home renovation easy. Craig and I meet some amazing locals and we check out the best locations the Hunter has to offer. Make sure you tune in 12:30 Saturdays on 9 to catch all the action.
And it's been a historic day for netball here in Newcastle at National Park, with West Balance 1 celebrating their third straight championship in the Greater Bank Open Championship, and it has been a dominating performance for West. Sam, they really dominated from the get-go, didn't they?
They did. They had the confidence in attack. They saw both strong options, let the ball go, and really made it hard for the South defenders to combat that. Down the other end, I thought both defenders did a really great job of making it hard for the shooters and really providing, as you can see, hesitation in their shot.
And as we see, Souths, they really did try. They've got a very young side. Lauren Kemp, they were told to tighten up their defence. It did work in patches, but they just were overrun by this experienced West side.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very tight, start to the game, but towards the end there, West just sort of had them, and it was very much a game of it was very much a close game at the start, but as I said, it just sort of, they got them in the end there, and the girls did try really hard though, and they didn't give up.
The victorious West Balance side is starting to gather. Their under-23 side also won today in extra time, so it has certainly been a great day for the West Leagues Netball Club. At full time, it was 45 goals to 27. We didn't expect a margin this big, but I think West signalled their intentions early. The shooting percentage was down a little bit this game, Sam. 75% for West, just 66% for South Lions. But as we spoke about, the wind was sure to play some factor in that.
Yeah, I think it was. What stat I really like is the intercepts and deflections that are getting back, which really, provides more opportunity to shoot. And like what they would like a higher percentage, but that's okay in a day like today.
Interestingly, South Lions won the turnover battle there, but with their goals just not dropping as much as West's, of course, they couldn't make up the gap. Victorious West side is getting ready to receive their trophy. I saw it earlier in the week. It's nice and shiny. We will bring that to you very soon.
NBN News, nightly at 6.
Extinguishing the blaze took more than 2 hours. It caused extensive damage to number 9 and spread across into number 11 before it was brought under control.
According to Night CEO Philip Gardner, this was a mutual decision with Nathan Brown in the club's best interest.
Driving into chaos on the morning commute. The M1 swallowed by smoke west of Lake Macquarie.
NBN News, nightly at 6.
1 p.m. Saturday on 9NBN, we're bringing you all the highlights of the Greater Bank Open Championship Grand Final. 1 p.m. Saturday on 9NBN.
NBN News, your local news in the Hunter.
The brother of Australian captain Boyd Cordner cried tears of relief as the decision was handed down.
Philip Gardner, this was a mutual decision with Nathan Brown in the club's best interest.
After months of training, they're ready to take their first steps on the beat.
Coppers management says minimising harmful emissions is a priority.
The full-time whistle sparks celebrations for Maitland.
NBN News, nightly at 6.
1 p.m. Saturday on 9NBN, we're bringing you all the highlights of the Greater Bank Open Championship Grand Final. 1 p.m. Saturday on 9NBN.
Season 2 of Location Lifestyle Living is now on air. The block's Kim and Chris show us some fun ways to de-stress after a big reno. Our resident tradie Rowan is back and making home renovation easy. Craig and I meet some amazing locals and we check out the best locations the Hunter has to offer. Make sure you tune in 12:30 Saturdays on 9 to catch all the action.
West celebrating their third straight Greater Bank Open Championship. The ladies are getting ready to receive what is a really shiny, newly fixed trophy as we wait for that to happen. Ladies, it's been such a great performance from this West side this afternoon, hasn't it?
It has, and what an exciting moment for them to share as a team. Some athletes go through their entire career not making grand final or not winning a grand final, so it's really a great moment for them as a team, and I'm sure they're all just enjoying each other's company, and what a dominant win that they've had today.
Lauren, what were you most impressed with this West performance today?
Well, I just think that their communication, they really held their own there, and driving into the circle and just getting that ball from one end to the other, it was sort of unmatched, and it was great to see a team that's played together for so long and has such a good flow come into their own and get that final trophy at the very end.
As we see the West under-23s side with their trophy, a very happy club here this afternoon. I'm sure there'll be some celebrations around New Lambton this evening with the base of West.
I wonder if Phil Gardner will, I'm sure we've just seen him here in the stands cheering, so I'm sure they'll be back at West celebrating the grand final win.
And it has been a dominant performance from both those West sides throughout the season. I can see a few tears over in the West huddle. You can just see how much this game means to them, Sam.
Yeah, you can, and I think all the emotions, you spend so much time training, playing, and not just today, but the years that they've put in. They've probably started playing netball when they were 7 and 8, and it's a long commitment, and I'm sure just a really fantastic moment for their careers.
As for this South side, they've had 4 season-ending injuries, a lot of experience on the bench, but they're huddling together too. They can hold their heads up high because this young side really did put up a fight today.
They sure can, and not only that, but it will also add to their experience as players. To play in a grand final is, a big moment, being able to really put out your best performance, with camera crew and lots of fans around. It's a hard challenge, and they'll learn from that, and as we discussed in the commentary, that they'll really start building a really nice pathway for their athletes. And while it is devastating, I think it's a credit to them with so many injuries and changing to their squad to get to the grand final today.
It sure is, and you never won a grand final. I've never won a grand final.
Thank you for reminding me. It was always West versus South in the grand final, and unfortunately, sadly never won. So maybe I can join in the celebrations because the 23s and the Opens won. Maybe we'll tag into their celebrations today.
I think you've done all right for yourself.
Thank you.
As we see, the presentation is almost ready to go. We see the crowd is really hanging around in numbers, which is really nice to see because they've been here throughout the afternoon on what's been a sunny but extremely windy afternoon of netball at these National Park netball courts. A lot of really great talent on show today, and the support has been extraordinary.
It has. I am so impressed with everyone coming along and showing their support to our great sport that it is, and there's still so many courts going with games on this afternoon, so there's still trophies to win, grand finals to play, and I think we're just thankful that the sun's shining and it hasn't been a raining day. It's been, other than the win, a pretty good day for netball.
It certainly has, and this is a proud netball community here. These courts are packed every Saturday, and why wouldn't they be with netballers like we've seen this afternoon? I think they are almost ready to present. They've got little gift bags and a beautiful shiny trophy, which they're all waiting in anticipation. They got their jackets on because this temperature's really dropping, isn't it?
Yes, it is. The wind is picking up, which is probably a good thing that this game stopped at the moment. But yeah, I'm sure players are excited to get their trophies and really celebrate as a team.
I suspect they will all be out this evening having a bite and a sensible
they will head to West, which is great to see the support that West have jumped on board and backed a local team.
Alrighty, we will head to a break now and we will come back with the presentation of this winning West's side.
NBN News, nightly at 6. Extinguishing the blaze took more than 2 hours.
It caused extensive damage to number 9 and spread across into number 11 before it was brought under control.
According to Knight CEO Philip Gardner, this was a mutual decision with Nathan Brown in the club's best interest.
Driving into chaos on the morning commute. The M1 swallowed by smoke west of Lake Macquarie.
NBN News, nightly at 6.
1 p.m. Saturday on 9NBN, we're bringing you all the highlights of the Greater Bank Open Championship Grand Final. 1 p.m. Saturday on 9NBN.
NBN News, your local news in the Hunter.
The brother of Australian captain Boyd Cordner cried tears of relief as the decision was handed down.
Philip Gardner, this was a mutual decision with Nathan Brown in the club's best interest.
After months of training, they're ready to take their first steps on the beat.
Coppers management says minimising harmful emissions is a priority.
The full-time whistle sparks celebrations for Maitland.
NBN News, nightly at 6.
1 p.m. Saturday on 9NBN, we're bringing you all the highlights of the Greater Bank Open Championship Grand Final. 1 p.m. Saturday on 9NBN.
Season 2 of Location Lifestyle Living is now on air. The Block's Kim and Chris show us some fun ways to de-stress after a big reno. Our resident tradie Rowan is back and making home renovation easy. Craig and I meet some amazing locals and we check out the best locations the Hunter has to offer. Make sure you tune in 12:30 Saturdays on 9 to catch all the action.
And we've seen West Balance 1 win their third consecutive Greater Bank Open Championship title, and we will head straight to Stephen Mount with the presentation.
Thanks, Kate. Well, welcome to National Park after a fantastic afternoon of local netball. Of course, history in the making. It's televised live on Facebook, YouTube and the NBN News website, and this will be turned around into a full highlights match next Saturday. Well, a great game. Of course, West too good for South when it mattered, and to talk about that before we get into the formalities, please welcome to the microphone the President of Newcastle Netball, Mrs. Cheryl Hernando.
Thanks very much, Stephen. Oh, I'm a bit short. Oh, thank you. Look, a big congratulations to both teams today and to the 23s that played beforehand. I hope you enjoyed the experience and thank you for a wonderful year and a wonderful competition. Thank you very much to everyone that's come today, and I hope you've enjoyed the spectacular. And we look forward to another season that's fantastic as this in 2020. So thank you to the Greater Bank for their sponsorship, and thank you to NBN for the initiative of this day. So thank you and congratulations to everybody for the day.
Thanks, Cheryl. Well, of course, days like this don't happen without sponsors, and from the Greater Bank, please welcome Ingrid Kazor.
Thank you very much. Congratulations to both of today's grand finalists, Westleague's Balance 1 and South's Lions, for putting on a fantastic display of netball in what were pretty tough and windy conditions here at National Park. And of course, what an outstanding performance by West Balance 1, our Greater Bank Open Netball champions for 2019. Greater Bank has been a sponsor of Newcastle Netball for more than 20 years, and we have continued to see the sport grow and prosper over that time. As a long-time sports fan and also a mother of a young daughter, it is fantastic to see the opportunities that the game provides for women in our region, and to not only compete each weekend, but to simply get out, be active and enjoy all the benefits that come with playing sport. As we can see around us, Newcastle Netball has taken Grand Final day to a new level in 2019, and it's been fantastic to work with Cheryl, Georgia and the rest of the team to make it all possible. Congratulations to Newcastle Netball and what has been another great season, and we look forward to partnering with you in 2020 to make it an even bigger and better year. A big thank you also to NBN Television for their support and promotion of the Greater Bank Open Championship and their broadcast of today's match. It's wonderful recognition for our local athletes and also for the game generally in the region. The match has been streamed live today, but you can also watch it back next Saturday afternoon, I think. And no doubt West Balance 1 players and supporters will be tuning in to enjoy that win all over again. Congratulations once again to our Greater Bank Open champions for 2019, West Balance 1.
Thanks, Ingrid Kazor from the Greater Bank. Well, behind the scenes in commentary, we had someone that needs no introduction to Newcastle Netball. She's a West junior, although she didn't show any bias in her coverage, which we're very proud of. So please welcome Sam Pillman.
What an exciting day for netball. Well done to Newcastle Netball, NBN News, thank you, and also Greater Bank. I think this is absolutely incredible that not only can these players from both teams play on this court and televised so people can watch at home, but also the little girls that are sitting on the sideline who will aspire to one day be on this court and playing like you guys. So well done to everyone involved. I think it certainly shows the benchmark for sport in the Hunter region, and I hope that this continues for years to come. But one of the roles that I get to do today, and I'm absolutely honoured to say who the woman of the match today is, captain from West League's Balance, Sophie Buckley.
Congratulations. Well done. Well played.
You want to say something?
Oh yeah, why not?
Well, it's a bit tall now. You have to put it back down. Firstly, I just want to say thank you to South. It was a great game. It always is. To Greater and NBN and Newcastle Netball, I just think this is such an amazing opportunity, not only for us, but for all the little girls, like Sam said. And to my team, I love yous all, and I think why we're so successful is that we're all friends first, then we played together. And Trace, you're just the best, so this is for you. So cool.
Thanks, Sam. Thank you, Sophie. Congratulations. Well, I'll just have to read off my notes for this one, but would like to call Lois Green onto court, please, if Lois is around. And this is for the presentation of the Lois and Nola Green Best and Fairest Player for 2019. This award is presented to the best and fairest player in the Greater Open Championship, voted by their fellow Greater Open opposition throughout the competition. Both Lois and Nola were representative players for Australia. The medal, established by Newcastle Netball in their honour, highlights their achievements and encourages future players in the association to strive for their personal best. The sportsmanship shown in this year's competition shows as the award is shared by two players. So on behalf of Newcastle Netball, very proud to say congratulations to Abby Gray from Nova Queen's Wharf, Thunder, and Claire Coward from Junction Stella Hotel. And thank you to our joint winners and to Lois for presenting this prestigious award. We'll just take the pictures down to see them accepting their prizes. Would you like to say a few words?
Congratulations to these girls.
In nice and close.
Congratulations to these girls. They played very, very well and very, very. Please everyone this.
Good.
Abby, this is yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
For you both. Here. Do you want to present them with a trophy?
One trophy?
Two. That's exactly right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Congratulations to our winners. Well, one final presentation for today. We'd like to call forward the umpires, of course. Without the umpires, these games don't happen. And the teams that appreciated their work in the Greater Open Bank Grand Final. Awards will be presented by Cheryl Hernando and Ingrid Kazor, and they are to our umpires for today, Lee Whitehead, Ben Hole, and the reserve umpire, Megan Oldknow. And congratulations to our umpires on a fantastic year. Well, now it's time to present the winners, and first to the stage we'll invite up South as the runners-up to please come and accept your grand final medals. That's right, South Lions. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the last of the South Lions passed through. Congratulations or commiserations on a very hard-fought match. Well done, girls. And as they make their way off stage, of course, we have the winners for today, and they are West League's Balance 1. Ladies, if you'd like to come to stage to accept your grand final prizes, and congratulations on a fantastic victory. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the formalities for this afternoon. So for everyone here at National Park, thank you very much for coming along on behalf of Newcastle Netball, the Greater Bank and NBN Television. And don't forget there'll be a full 1 hour highlights package next Saturday at 1 o'clock. So if you want to see it all again, tune into NBN Television and we'll see you then. Thank you very much for a great afternoon.
And as we leave West League's Balance One with their winning trophy, we reflect on what has been a magnificent day and a historic day for netball here in Newcastle. Sam, you're a West junior. It's a proud day for the club, isn't it?
It certainly is. To win under 23s in extra time and then to win opens is just a great achievement for the club.
Lauren, we saw a dominant performance from West today. They really showed what they've brought throughout the season when it counts.
Absolutely. I mean, a well-deserved win, but at the same time, I think, South's won in a very different kind of way. They had a lot of girls there today. This is their first time in an Open Championship, so good on both sides. They had a great performance.
West League Balance One celebrating their third consecutive Greater Bank Open Championship. I've been told their presentation night is tonight, so I'm sure it will be celebrations all round. Thank you for joining us. You can catch all the highlights on next Saturday on 9NBN.